Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day today. So I know I'm a little late to the game today. I've been working a lot of hours at work and been dealing with some migraines, so it slowed me down on getting this done. But I'm happy to be back and talking about this. I am talking today about Aliens Fireteam Elite 2, as well as some of the builds they've talked about with the specialists, hence why I've got this background up. But I did notice a neat, I don't know if it was intentionally an Easter egg, but to me it is. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Um, so for those of y'all who are fans of the Predator franchise, if you look into the deep lore, the original name for the movie was not Predator, it was Hunter, but that was changed due to, uh, I believe it was the production company or the distribution company that made them change it. And interesting enough, we learned that the class called Hunter has a shoulder firing particle cannon, which is that a link to the Predator? I don't know. It could be something leading up to that. I don't think they'll do it, but one can always hope. Um, Also, I think it's interesting that some of these, for example, Marauder, it seems to be the new version of the heavy assault build, the Demolisher. If so, I wonder if that's a little bit of a tip to the hat to the Starship Troopers, which the primary suit that they wore was the Marauder. They had the Marauder, the Scout, and the command suits. Um, if you want to talk about that at some point, just let me know in the comments and I'll take a look at doing that. The editing for this is probably going to be a bit janky because it's going to be the first time I'm actually trying to do it and get a video out in the same day. And I am very new to this, so yeah. One of my friends has been telling me that I need to do that, and so I'm going to take his advice and do it. So first things first, they've given us a video talking about the specialist. They also recently did a video where they talked about actual review. And this is all through IGN. IGN has this big um, deal with them or something that they are able to do all this. My biggest problem is the guy who played the game was not the best at playing it. And I'm not saying that you have to be the best to play a game, but if you're going to review it, you should have played the base model or the first game recently. You should understand a little bit of what's going on. I myself, when I play the game, I generally play it on standard because I don't. The people who I first started playing with, I was playing on intense and higher difficulties with, they moved on to other games because of stability issues. So it's normally just me. If I'm playing with bots, I don't want to have to deal with them. And if I'm playing with people that generally don't have comms or that I don't know, I tend to just play standard because then it's fun. I'm not getting frustrated because at the end of the day, I want to enjoy the game. Playing on higher difficulties is very enjoyable to me if I've got people that I can play it with. If I don't have people I can play it with, it makes it a lot worse for me because I just get frustrated. So, a couple things I want to touch base on with this first one is that it looks like your specialist is going to be based on what you played before. So, one of the reasons why I have this slide up is because you see that there's several classes that he has not played much of. Because if you look here, 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 and of course here, you see that there's the X. That means it's 10. The 1 means, or the I means 1. So he hasn't really done too much with this. So he doesn't have any of those traits unlocked. And as you get more perks, you can put it on your board. And I'll show the board in a moment. One other thing, M41A Classic Pulse Rifle. They have confirmed it. You are going to have the underslung grenade launcher capable or capability now. So you'll be able to fire the pulse rifle and then swap to a grenade. I really enjoy that. I am so happy they brought it back. From the looks of one of the screens, it looks like you'll have to hit the D-pad on a controller for that. So I am excited to see that. We do see that there's going to be two items. So if you're running like a turret and the precision drone, I call it the crit drone, the drone that helps your crits. Um, it looks like you'll be able to do both of that. It shows your abilities. I hope that you're going to be able to do. Well, we see that you're going to be able to modify the abilities, but it'll be interesting to see how much they let you do that. It looks like they're going to do a lot of it because there are some builds on this that are absolutely insane already, and that's before it's gone out in the wild. Um, we also see that your sidearm is something you can pick. We see that there's a guy who has a different kind of sidearm. That's a revolver. So there are so many things that are coming out that's going to make this so much more fun and just so great. Um, so as we can see here, we see that he doesn't have the hunter leveled at all. You can also see how far they've leveled the current one with the line. At least that's the way it used to be. So I assume it is for this one. So as you can see, he's got the medic stuff unlocked, but there's nothing unlocked here because he hasn't unlocked any of it. So if you're planning on doing a specialist class and there's certain things in other class or in other loadouts that you want to use, be aware you have to level them. So here is the pegboard or whatever you want to call it. It is much bigger than what it used to be. I do have a picture. Yeah, this is how the current one is. So it's 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 4 by 8. This one is 5 plus 2 more. So it's 5 by 8 plus 2 slots. So that's 42. So you're going to get more that you can build with it. And then I don't know if these take up slots or if they have to be those that you have to put that there. That would be kind of interesting if you didn't have to put, like if you're playing a machinist build with the specialist and you didn't put, like you put your turret here, but you didn't put another turret, or you didn't put anything here or here. If you could literally just do a build of just the turret to make it the absolute beast. I don't know if you'll be able to do that. I don't necessarily think that will be a thing, but it could be. So that's something that's kind of interesting. So I took this image so that way you can see that there are multiple gun slots. This is the sidearm. We see that's different from before. The signature gun, I think that's going to be a gun that's tied to whatever class that you're doing. In the primary, they may let you have more options with it. I hope that this is one that you can, as you shoot it, you can reload, like it's a caseless round system. So whenever the cylinder rotates, if you have if you need to, you can just turn the cylinder, put more rounds in without having to do the full ejection process. That would be pretty cool. So, and we see later on that you are able to do some modifications to this to give it certain kinds of ammunition. And that is going to be a great boon to people who enjoy using the sidearms. From the looks of it, you'll be able to give it elemental damages, just like some of the primaries. Some of the primaries, I don't know whether it's the ammo or the weapon itself. We do see one weapon here. Here. We do see the weapon here. This is the rail gun. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting is that whenever we see them use it, it's at 7, and then after he's done the shot, he's at 5. Now, I do like that they're adding alternate fire modes, which we already saw with the grenade launcher, of course. But it looks like if you charge it, it uses more than one round. It looked like here it used 2. There's also the symbol here that shows exactly what element you're using or type of ammo. Railgun obviously uses penetration. Flamethrower is going to use fire. So here we see that you can do the incendiary ammo. It does look like that they are going to have their own unlock tree as far as getting certain things. I noticed here that it says that the augment slot is only going to be available when you get it to tier 5, or sorry, 4-star. And so that is going to be how you're going to do that. We do see that you're going to be able to customize it. We do see that you're going to be able to put optics, magazine, and the small muzzle. So that means that this can actually be a real contender for some of the slots that it was kind of used only in last case scenario, certain modifiers. But also, I used it on chaff if I knew someone needed to go AFK for a second. I would just go ahead and use it. So that way I knew that, okay, they're probably going to come from that vent. Let me just swap to the sidearm. Okay, he's going to be back in a moment. Bug comes out. Bang, 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 bang. And just deal with it that way. I do like that. So this is just a brief overview of some things. One thing I do like that they did show was that whenever you're building your tree, you can heavily lean in on certain things that you like. We see one of the guys does a paladin build. So from my understanding, so he's got the trauma station, so you can drop it and heal people, but he also has a perk called body. No, it's not bodyguard. Guardian. He's got a perk that what it does is whenever someone attacks one of his friendlies and he shoots it, it heals that person for a small amount when he kills it. So it's kind of, whenever you're fighting stuff and there's a big group of them and you're going to hit other aliens that are targeting that not you. So that makes it very, very good for this type of scenario. So he is almost always healing people. And then because he wanted to have the big sword aspect, he went ahead and used the smart gun, which tells me that there's going to be so much customization there. It's going to be really interesting to see what you can do. So he's able to use a smart gun and just blast a lot while healing his buddies and having a trauma station. So that shows kind of he's really leaning into that theme. Another guy does one that he says it's putting as many rounds down range. He's the one that had the revolver rifle, the SMG, and then the pistol that I showed earlier, the revolver. And then he's got something, I think his is called Bodyguard, where it's a little drone that floats around with him and shoots. He's very much a DPS orientated, and the way that his playstyle is definitely shows it. The primary game director uses what he calls the Elementalist. His is all about causing either elemental damage or elemental debuffs, or not debuffs, weakness to that element. So it shows that you can really do a lot of different builds with it. The other guy did a Grenadier build where if he could make something explode, he did it. Sounds like a really fun one, except for if you end up with that one guy who just wants to play something like that, but doesn't understand how friendly fire works. That thing could get spicy. So there's a lot of things that they're doing with this I'm very excited about. IGN did do a review. I don't think that he's wrong in saying that this is going to be a good game. However, when we saw this person play, we saw that he was not the most proficient at it, I guess is the best way to state it. It is hard for me to believe someone when they say, this is a great game, but we see that they're obviously not proficient with the game. I'm not saying you have to be an expert, but I've over exaggerated and saying that I think that like half his rounds went into his buddies, but whenever it's over 10%, that's definitely shows that. And there's times where he just shoots this guy, one of the other characters, in the face, and it doesn't cause any damage because friendly fire's not on, but he does it for a few moments, and you're just kind of like, why? So whenever I see that someone is not necessarily proficient with the game, and it really weakens the argument for saying that this is a good game. The greatest example of that is Alien Isolation, when that game came out, I think it was IGN said it was like a 6.5 or a 5.5, something like that. And like, so people didn't really buy it because they're like, oh, it's a mid game. Why am I going to buy that? And then it took a while. And then all of a sudden it became one of the most beloved Alien games ever made. If you haven't played that game, you absolutely should. However, if you're prone to screaming during jump scares, do not have your microphone on, because I don't know if they've changed it, but at first, whenever you, or was it the first patch? At earlier in the game, whenever you had your mic on, it would pick up your mic. So if you're prone to jump scares and you scream, you yell, you're like, ah! The alien can hear that and it'll come towards you. Also, the design of how they did the aliens' intelligence on the artificial intelligence for that was so amazing. So the xenomorph was the xenomorph AI can only detect things within its sensor range. So if it's close enough to hear you, then it hears you, stuff like that. But then there's a other AI. I'm going to call it a mother AI because we're talking about aliens. Um, the mother AI knows exactly where you're at any given time. The xenomorph AI does not. It can sense like the sounds and stuff like that, use its senses to try and hunt for you. But if you're just standing in lock or not making any noise, it can't find you, except that if the mother AI reads that you're just hiding in there and you're not doing anything, it will slowly give more information to the xenomorph AI. So instead of it knowing that, okay, you're in this general area of the ship, it will slowly shrink down the area that it knows where you're at until it will just open up the locker and get you. I thought that was a very neat premise. I thought it worked really well. It is an extremely fun game. There's a lot of stuff in it. It gives you, I think that's the first introduction of Ripley's daughter. It's a fantastic game. I recommend you try it. But because the person who played it, I don't think they were a fan of Alien. I don't think they were a fan necessarily of the horror genre. And so that game got slept on because the person who did the review didn't understand it. So when you have someone that is not proficient and doesn't understand how the first game worked necessarily, they can't upsell or properly grade what has got better and what has got worse. And because of that, it makes it real unreliable. If anyone with IGN, or not IGN, Cold Iron Studios sees my video, I recommend that you get a hold of, I believe his name is Mr. Fyoff. He does amazing videos on these. He knows the lore better than I do, and he absolutely enjoys the game. He was one of the biggest streamers doing this for a while, and he's someone that if he was to say that this is an excellent game, the people who have been playing Aliens Fireteam Elite since launch, like I've been playing it since launch. I got it the first day. I bought a couple copies for some of my friends to get them to play. I believe I mentioned it in another video. I introduced my nephew to it recently because, this is the first time I've seen him in a while, and we're still playing with it. We still enjoy playing this game. So if anyone that sees this has the ability to get someone that loves this game, that plays this game, that understands how it plays, get them to try it and do the review, because you want someone that the community is going to trust. Having a guy say, oh, I haven't played it in a while, and then he's shooting people all the time, that doesn't that doesn't make people trust what's being said about your game. And we want this game to succeed. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off with that. Sorry, that tangent was unscripted, and we'll see how that goes in the editing process. But I'm very excited with what's going on. It looks like it's going to let you build the specialist to how you want. I just hope that this doesn't set up a meta. I hope that this is one of those ones where whenever you set things up, it is going to be viable, even if you have like the most off the wall spec. One thing I am kind of concerned about is whether the specialist is going to overshadow the ability to take a base loadout into the end game. So let's say that you want to play a machinist. Well, now we know that playing the machinist in a specialist build with these other perks are so much better than playing it as just a machinist, that no one wants to play a machinist or the medic or the marauder. Like, I want to see that not only can you do the end game with a base loadout, but that you can also thrive, and that you're more than just, oh, you're viable to do it. No, I don't want to see just viable. I want to see where they're able to be just as effective as a specialist. That's going to require so much balancing. I don't think it's necessarily going to work, because as someone who, I did progression during WoW, I've played Star Trek Online, and I've played Diablo. I've played so many games in the thing, that learning, when people learn how to theory craft and they build off that they can make some insane builds that cannot be matched by just the base. I understand that. I am kind of interested to see what happens with it, but also I hope that they still make sure that it is that you can play the base class of base loadouts and still be effective, not just viable, but effective, and able to thrive in the last in the end game. Oh, I just noticed this. So there's lines here. They've got the X's here, and then they've got the stripes here, for lack of a better word. I wonder if that means that they can only be in that orientation, so they can only go in those slots. Like you if there was another class that had another thing right for this slot, that you couldn't flip it and put it here or here. That could be an interesting mechanic to keep you from just building just something absolutely insane. But that's all I've got for today. I'm going to try to figure out how to edit now. And I hope that everyone has a fantastic day. And as always, be well. Cragor signing off.